Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Waubonsee Community College Sports Spotlight. I'm your host, Steve Moga, and on this show we're going to talk about women's tennis and volleyball. And joining me here for our very first segment, first-time guest on the show, brand new women's tennis coach here at Waubonsee, Douglas Bessette. Coach, thank you for coming in. Appreciate you stopping by. You're ready for practice. You're ready to go.
Thank you for having me.
Want to introduce you to the folks at home. And first of all, Coach Bessette has taken over the women's tennis program, and obviously you've done a fantastic job, obviously, right from the beginning. We know that, but I want to talk a little bit about your background and what you bring some a little bit different intangibles to the tennis court than most of the coaches we get at our level, which is the fact that you played professionally. You were on the professional tour for 15 years. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I started, right after high school, I had a decision to make, and it was a very tough one, to either accept one of many scholarship offers to play D1 or to take a shot at the Pro Tour. And for a variety of reasons, I decided to do that. I'm not sure it was the smartest decision I've ever made in my life, because I spent the first 2 years losing and paying my dues. And in hindsight, I probably should have taken the college scholarship, let them pay for my education, gotten my degree, and then gone on. But back in those times, it was a little different. Mm-hmm. Now more players are choosing to go to school first. Back then, it was play first. And after I got through, shall we say, a few years of losing and learning, started to have a little success here and there, and ended up playing for 15 years.
And you did fairly well. I mean, you were ranked within the 100 to 150th ranking in the world, I should say, throughout that time. So you more than held your own.
Well, that wasn't really throughout the time. The first couple of years, my ranking wasn't anywhere near that good. But that was the last 10, 12, 13 years, that was about my average. It varies from week to week, but I was in that range.
Well, you won 4 different tournaments, not major tournaments, but you did win 4 different times on the tour. That's pretty special.
Back in the day, as I say, back in the day, God, do I sound old now? Back then, there were 3 different levels of the Pro Tour.
Okay.
There was what they now call the Challenger Circuit, which was more of the beginning. You got players there who were either on their way up or on their way down and wanted to hang on and still play. The middle section was called the American Express Tour, obviously sponsored by American Express, and that was sort of a middle range tournament. Again, players moving through it, some players staying in it mostly, and that was where I fit in. And then the top level is the ATP, that's the Association of Touring Professionals. And that's the top 500, but tends to be even more than that, the elite. And that's the tournaments that everybody knows, that's the tournaments that are televised all the time. And I had several opportunities to play in a bunch of those. I'd say I spent 3/4 of my time in the middle section, but did get a chance to play some of those. And was fortunate enough to have won I said, not the US Open or Wimbledon, but.
Well, it's still a great experience. It's a wonderful experience to give to your players, to relay some stories to them as well. And I want to ask you also about your coaching experience. Once you were done playing, you jumped into coaching eventually, I should say, because it wasn't right away, correct?
No, pretty much I started out almost immediately.
Oh, okay.
In bits and pieces. As a player, I had that perspective of it, and that was something I felt I could share with students, because so many coaches have very good technical expertise in coaching, but have never done it at a very high level. I mean, most have played either high school or college or something, but not at a very high level. And so I thought I could not only relate to the players, this is how you do it, but then also there's the aspect of, well, here's the real world, and when you're actually trying to do it, this is what you're seeing. So I always viewed myself as a player's coach because I always related to the players very well as a fellow player, and worked that way. The first thing I learned when I started to give lessons, somebody said, why don't you give some lessons? This wasn't high school or college coaching, this was giving private lessons. First thing I figured out was I have no clue what to do or how to teach. Just no clue whatsoever. I knew how to do it, but I didn't know how to relate the biomechanics, the Newtonian physics, all the things that are basic to teaching tennis properly. So I found a program called Tyler Junior College Tennis Technology Program, which at the time, it's in Tyler, Texas, which at the time was the only accredited degree program in the United States with a major in tennis teaching. And it was there that, under the tutelage of Steve Smith, who was head of the program, that I learned really how to become a tennis teacher, met some of the best tennis teachers in the world, traveled to some of their places, studied under them, actually taught for a number of them, and really learned how to teach. And from that point, I started to do a variety of coaching. I coached at virtually every level, high school, college, country clubs, private clubs.
Yeah.
And I found my favorite was college because the players at that age kind of are in the borderline between pediatrical learning as a child, and andrological learning as an adult. As an adult, they question everything, but as still they have a little left over as a kid and they soak up the information. And I found I related best to them, so that's always been my favorite. And at this point in my life, I viewed myself as semi-retired, just keep teaching a few people here and there. But when the opportunity for Wabanzi came up, I'm going, yeah, I really missed it. And so I'm doing this more as a passion and giving everything I've got to the players.
We're happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
You also spent a short little stints at Catawba College in North Carolina. You were at Tyler Junior College as a coach there, and the University of Hawaii. I think, me personally, I think I'd have stayed at Hawaii. No, that's just, but tennis has taken you all over the world, and
Yes.
when we come back, I want to talk a little bit briefly about that, and then of course I want to talk about this year's team. But we got to take a break right now here in Sports Spotlight. So when we come back, we're going to talk more tennis with Coach Bessette. Stay with us. Back here on Sports Spotlight, I want to throw out a quick congratulations to men's cross-country runner Jordan Van Berger, who set a new Chiefs record at the Aurora University Spartan Classic a couple of weeks ago. New school time, broke the school record by 5 seconds, and he was the #1 runner out of 241 runners that were competing in that race. He came in first, and that is a first for the Chiefs as well. And he beat runners from 14 Division III schools, 4 running clubs, and 9 junior colleges. So
Wow.
Quite a performance by Jordan. And back here with Douglas Bessette, our women's tennis coach. And Coach, when we took a break here, you talked about, a little bit about your coaching background, but tennis has kind of taken you all over the world, hasn't it? And it's been a great experience overall, hasn't it?
It has been.
What was your favorite place? You spent time in the UK. You spent time in South Africa. You've lived in the Bahamas, that type of thing. The University of Hawaii we mentioned right before the break. What was your favorite place?
Well, you have to kind of break it up by category. If you're talking about climate and just geography, it's kind of hard to beat Hawaii. And I was fortunate enough to live there for a couple of years. I was head pro and tennis ambassador for a hotel there, and I was a specialty coach at the University of Hawaii. So I was doing what I loved, getting to live in paradise, a long way from the rest of the world. But I enjoyed the opportunity to travel to a variety of places. Unfortunately, as a player, most of what you see is hotel rooms, tennis courts, training rooms, and restaurants. So it's not quite as glamorous as it sounds. Yeah. But whenever I had a day off or something, I would try to play tourist in whatever town I was at and try to enjoy that. It was much better to see it that way and meet people that way than to read about it in a book.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your team. And for this year and the 2019 women's tennis team for Waubonsee, you had a couple returning players from last year. All the girls were new to you,
brand new.
But a couple returning players that kind of could start with, and then you've had some good freshmen here as well. But I mentioned Valerie Shalmo, sophomore from Oswego, and Katie Byard from Canelan,
right,
who were your two returning players. And they at least knew the ropes a little bit, and were they able to help you as far as a coach, say, hey, we know about this team, or we know about this court, where we're going to, or that kind of thing?
A little. It was kind of fun because when I first heard about the job, I actually never heard of Waubonsee, and I never heard of Sugar Grove. I mistook it for the Doobie Brothers song China Grove, and but I quickly started to learn. The players were very helpful in explaining where the high schools are and a little bit more about it. Valerie and Katie were terrific in saying, well, this is kind of how we've done things as far as more logistics, not coaching or playing or anything like that. But I feel very fortunate. Every team I've ever had, for the most part, I've had an opportunity to recruit, even my first year. Not all, but at least some of the players. So I knew some of them before the season started. I knew exactly what I had as far as ability, as far as personality, as far as trying to blend personalities, all that group dynamic stuff. This one I just walked into and go, here's what you got. And I feel very blessed because I think these are 6 of the nicest girls that I have ever met in my life, and they give everything they've got every day in practice and matches, and we just focus on every single day trying to improve.
Good students as well, pretty much across the board with this group.
Across the board. But tennis has a history of that. At almost every high school and college you go to in the United States and abroad, tennis players typically have, if not the highest GPA, right up there with the other sports. So that's something I've gotten used to.
And another thing too, and you've started with this team as well, is reaching out and doing some stuff in the community. You've already done some things with these girls. Feed My Starving Children, in particular, was an event you went and helped with. I mean, those kinds of things just tell you all you need to know about the program and the kids that are involved with it.
And I felt it was important that I join them in that. So it was not only giving back to the community, which at this point in my career is what I want to do, is give back. It's not only that, but it was also a way for us to bond as a team. We're getting to know each other better day by day, and as we do, we're becoming closer, and everybody's giving even more of an effort. So it's really been a wonderful ride so far. It's only been 5 weeks, but it's been a wonderful ride.
Well, you've had a pretty good effort indeed. The numbers speak for themselves. 5-4 overall record right now in the match play, but 2-1 in the conference. You're right there. You ran into a tough McHenry County team.
They're very good.
But you kind of know what to expect now with that, and you've got some other matches coming up, and I don't know who the schedule maker was, but they're all home matches. How'd you work that out? The last 5, or 4 out of the last 5 are at home, technically at home. You're playing at Washington Middle School on the west side of Aurora for your home matches.
That's our home, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's nice, the comfortable surroundings for the girls there to play. I mean,
it means I have to drive the bus less. I'm happy.
There you go.
But the schedules typically at colleges are about a 50-50 split for home and away. It never works out that way. It's always a little off. But it must have been a higher percentage of away matches last year, and I imagine next year we're going to be road warriors.
Yeah, we probably will be. Well, I should mention October 11th and 12th, that's the Region 4, NJCAA Region 4 tournament. That's all at Moraine Valley. You haven't gotten to see Moraine Valley yet. They're usually pretty good as well, so that'll be a good test for you coming up here in another week to play them. but then you'll know what you got going into that Region 4 tournament in October.
Well, I already know exactly what I have. Our goal in the next 3 weeks, and I talked to the players a couple of days ago, I said, we've gotten through the first part of the season. Now our focus is not winning matches. Our focus is simply getting better every day, focusing on seeing how good we can get to October 11th. They all would like the opportunity to go to Arizona and play in the Nationals. So that's what we're trying for. All we can do is improve our play. We can't control our opponents.
I should mention a couple other players before we're done here. Haley Wilcox has emerged as your number one freshman from Geneva, and I just love the way she just covers a lot of the court. And just watching her go, and she's streaky though. At times there's a lot of mistakes and miscues, but other times, boy, when she's on, she's tough.
Name of the game is reducing her unforced errors.
Yeah.
We've set goals. I've set goals and worked with each player individually, and everyone's different, and you have to approach each player differently. Haley was. We started out with 5 players. And in talking with some of the other players, I said, do you know anybody? And usually when somebody recommends somebody, they end up filling out the bottom of the roster. We just got lucky with Haley. And Haley's got a great work ethic and has emerged as one of the leaders on the team. Her and Liz Eggerman, and of course Val. I could just, it's just all of them contribute. They're all contributing in their own way.
Well, it's been good to see so far, and we wish you the best here.
Thank you.
When we have you back, we'll be talking about another conference title. Women's tennis here at Waubonsee has been one of the most successful programs in the school's history. 18 conference titles coming into this year, a bunch of regional titles as well. Actually, two out of the last 3 years, Waubonsee's women have won the region title, have gone on to the national tournament. The other year, lost by half a point in the region tournament. It's so close to
Unfortunately, we lost all but 2 of those players, and the 2 we got back didn't even start. So,
so it'll be tough, but
we're doing the best we can this year, and we'll just keep going. My goal for the program is just keep improving it.
And so far, that's been the case. Great job, Coach.
Thank you.
For all those folks that are 45 and over at home right now who have China Grove going through your minds, you're not the only ones. I'm right there with you. We got to take a break here on the Sports Spotlight. When we come back, we're going to talk volleyball with Steve Kish, so don't go away. Back here on Sports Spotlight, and a reminder, you get more information about Chiefs athletics by going online to gochiefs.com or to the njcaa.org website or the Region 4 website. That's region numeral 4 sports.com. And joining me now is a guy who knows a little bit about numbers. And you know what? I'm going to call you Mr. Milestone. 198 career coaching victories here at Waubonsee as we record this show. So 200, Mr. 200 is coming up soon here. Yeah. So let me be the first one to congratulate you. How's that?
Thank you. A little preface, but we'll take it.
But definitely you've been on a roll as of late. The last 5 years, or actually 6 years, I should say, your teams have been pretty good. Let me read this off here. 35 wins in 2013, 35 wins in 2014, 25 in 2015, 2016, 27 more wins, 25 wins in 2017, 24 last year. Pretty good numbers. 198 and 112 is your current career record here at Waubonsee, with this year's team 17-7 as of right now. In conference, how about this? 47-11. Pretty darn good. Unfortunately, you had one little stumbling block called McHenry County, but this year you took care of them. So far, so good.
Yeah, the last 2 years we finally figured them out and found the right kids to make the difference, and it's kind of nice to put them on the back end of it versus being on the front end of it. So it's nice.
You did win a conference title last year. The second time you won the conference title.
Yep.
But again, this year it won't be necessarily any easier.
Oh.
You know, we've talked about McHenry, but you still got another school by the name of Moraine Valley that has really emerged again. They were pretty much a power about 6-8 years ago.
Yeah.
Now they've kind of reemerged, and that will be the kind of the showdown, won't it?
Yeah, Lauren's done a really good job of kind of building that team back up from kind of the falling off from when Gloria left, and the couple of coaches that went through and they tried, and she's found some good kids. They've got a good team this year. They pretty much the same core she had last year that went to nationals for them. And pretty much their starting lineup is all sophomores, so they've got a lot of experience and a lot of determination, and they're not real happy that they lost to us last year. So we'll see.
Well, You, as usual, you play a tough schedule to get your team prepared for the end of the year, and this year, of course, no exception.
Yep.
You've had the Region 4 crossover tournament that you hosted here at Waubonsee, so you had the top 12 teams in the region to get a good look at everybody there, but you also went to Owens out in Ohio, which is always a national power, Owens, and you got to see some really good teams there, and then you just recently went to Kansas City, the Kansas City Community College, and played, again, some of the top teams in the country. It's good and bad because there's some tough losses there, but at the same time, your team learns a lot, don't they?
It did, and especially this weekend in Kansas, we were able to kind of learn something about ourselves, and we spent a lot of time in reflection and looking back at video and talking, and really just kind of communicating amongst ourselves like what our issues are. Because going into this year, we knew we were going to be very young, with only returning 4 sophomores for next year, and only 2 of them played last year. We knew we were starting from scratch, so to push this group to get to the level where we've been, we knew we couldn't back off, and adding Natalie Jones to the coaching staff with her psychology degree to kind of help us deal with that transition has been a huge help, which has helped these kids grow, I think, this year.
Is that you think somewhat, and correct me here if I'm wrong, but as a male coaching female sports, is that the toughest part, trying to connect with young ladies, and then again having Mallory able to kind of closer in age and being a female as well connects better with
I think it has helped, yeah. I think it's given us a little extra something to work with. I've had female assistants in the past, and it's been good and bad. Sometimes it's good because they've got women to talk to, and sometimes it's bad because sometimes the girls kind of get caught up in the girl drama and stuff a little bit, and they kind of take sides a little bit. So, but Mallory's done really good with. We've set up one-on-one meetings with the girls. She's meeting with them every other week just to kind of sit down for 30 minutes to kind of talk how school's going, how's practice going, how do you feel about things. Just giving them an outlet for the girls to talk to kind of help cope with what we're going through and the schedule, and this going from a lot of our team is from smaller 1A schools that they've come from small class sizes to being in college. It's a huge jump for them, and I think it's helped them mature.
Let's talk about your team a little bit. You lost a lot from last year's squad. You had a lot of sophomores that were key contributors, but you had some other people step in this year, and you had some sophomores that have stepped up as well, which is what you kind of expect anyway. But you've also had a couple other ones come in. But I guess I'm going to start with Sidney Cole as a sophomore who came in and has really made an impact right away for you. Yeah,
we went after Sidney last year. She was really wanted to go to a 4-year school. She was kind of sold on the whole St. Ambrose thing and wanted to work her, that experience is what she was after, and it was down to us and them, and she chose them and had a very bad experience there. And when she reached out to us, we're like, yeah, come on in, and we had to do some work with her, kind of get her up to speed and do some changes on how she does stuff, but Sidney has come in and really been an impactful player for us, and I'm glad we have her.
And one other big player up front for you, Anna Friedlin, who was a returning kind of your leader. Again, gives you another offensive weapon and a big power arm, so to speak.
She was good. She played middle for us last year. She filled a void that we had. She came in, high school she played outside, club she played for 2 years. She played middle and enjoyed playing middle, and we needed a middle. And she did very well with it last year with that squad, and she fit in with that squad, but this year we'll be able to transition her more into her comfort zone of where she likes to play and be more success at, and that's what that's where she's leading at this point and kind of carrying the team kind of emotionally and verbally.
And then the other Sidney, I should say, that's the other one I want to talk about here before we take a break. Another outside hitter who's come in and really done a great job for you. Yeah,
Sidney, her sister, played for us a couple years ago. Great kid, great family. I coached her in club 5 years ago. Kept in touch, great kid, great situation. Was originally looking to do beach. Just decided she didn't want to go far away from home, and things worked out to fit for us, and she's bought into what we're doing and gets what we're after, and she's kind of our Energizer bunny. It's like, get her the ball and she'll do whatever it takes to get it down on the other side. So it's great to have her. I'm glad she's having the success she has.
Certainly glad to have her. And what we do have to do though right now is take a break, Coach, and we come back, we're going to talk more Chiefs volleyball right after these messages. Don't go away.
You can achieve a lot using your imagination. I mean, I don't like to brag, but wait, who's that? And why is she all over these achievement awards? But with STEM, the sky's the limit. Shaboom! Use STEM to envision. Okay, I'm seeing it. Yeah. Invent.
Got any ideas?
I've got a few, actually. And create a better world.
Told you she's super smart.
If she can STEM, so can you. Find out more at She Can STEM.
Back here on Sports Spotlight, and as you saw in that wide shot, we have our version of the Stanley Cup, the Illinois Skyway Collegiate Conference All Sports Trophy that Waubonsee won last year again. And Coach, your team as conference champions helped get us this thing. It's a brand new trophy, and it is kind of like the Stanley Cup. Sure looks that way.
It's cool looking. It's definitely better than the old one we had.
It is. That it is. The old one was...
It's actually has something to have pride in a little bit there. So.
Yeah, the old one was old, let's put it that way. It's been around since the inception of the conference, and now we got this big trophy here, and we're trying to add to that, and you've done that, again, taking some good strides toward that. 4-0 here to start with in the conference, and you've had some great contributions from people, not only the newcomers, but as some of the returning players as well. I want to mention another returner in Ryan Atomsa. She gets in there and helps you out quite a bit as a defensive specialist and libero sometimes, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's done good. She had a little bit of a rough start last year, just kind of making the transition from the high school to college level, and she's put the time in the gym all last year, working towards it towards the end of the year. She really started to come on towards the end of the season, and really has emerged as really one of our top two passers in the back row. Her and Lydia back there are really kind of anchoring it for us at this point.
Yeah, I was going to mention Lydia Sabanish. This is another one who's really been outstanding for you, the DeKalb grad, and then can't say enough about Rebecca Robinson so far.
She was one of our first commits for this season. She was one that we had been watching since probably her freshman year of high school. The coach over at Batavia, I've been friends with her for probably older than I want to think about. And we kind of talked about and identified her, talked with her parents, and she was a great fit, great blue-collar kid, just wants to win, does whatever it takes, and she has lived up and beyond our expectations. So.
Well, you had Natalie Jones, your assistant coach Bob Jones, one of his three daughters. Of course, you got Mallory, you mentioned earlier, as your other assistant now. But Natalie last year is a conference player of the year and was one of the top servers in the entire country with aces. And Rebecca Robinson now is right up there as one of the top servers in the country.
Yeah, we did some work with her on her serve because she didn't do a ton of serving in high school, some in club, but not a lot in high school. And they kind of did a weird rotation. I'm not sure even how to explain it, but she did great with it. We did a lot of work with, because we're very picky about serving, and we're very aggressive in our mentality of how we serve, and we've spent a lot of time working on it with her, getting it to where she is, and now it's to the point where you can see the fear in opposing teams when she goes back to serve at this point. So it's not a monster serve, it's just probably one of the smartest serves you'll see coming at you.
And my untrained eye coach, as I watched her practice before the season started, I was worried about some of the defense up front, so to speak. Not having as big of bodies as you had the last couple of years, per se, or tall players. And a couple ladies have proven me completely wrong. Gabby DeLabo has been phenomenal, and Alyssa Gittens as well. Both of them in there with a lot of solo blocks, and they've been great for you.
Gabby came to us, transfer from Benedictine. She didn't play a whole lot there either. And she came to us just because she changed her major, and they didn't have what she's looking to study. Mm-hmm. So knowing Anna and Lydia, she called us up and we came in, and she had a little bit of a slow start to come up, and I was kind of on the fence of what she can do, but her and Alyssa both have, we spent a ton of time. They've asked for extra reps. We've done tons of work with them, and they've probably gone from like a 3 to a 9.5 to a 10 in like a matter of months. So it's been awesome to watch their development.
And you've had some other players as well, fill in here and there, but have a strong team. You got to have a strong bench, or at least players even in practice that certainly contribute a lot. Evie Martin, Jocelyn Jefferson, Jessica Havernick, Larkin O'Donnell, Maddie Mueller, and Allie Cross. All of them have at different times been contributing.
It's been nice this year. We've had good benches in the years past, but we haven't been this deep in the bench before. Like I can turn to, if Kansas this weekend's a great example, Anna was just off, and she knew it, and we subbed her out, moved Evie in, and it was like we didn't lose a beat. Maddie Mueller has come in. She's played some outside and middle for us. Allie stepped in when we needed her for serving and defense. Everybody has just contributed from practice to game time, on the bench, on the bus. It's really been a great group of girls to coach this year. It's actually been a refreshing change.
Well, as I mentioned before, the schedule, and we only got about a minute here. You also go to the DMAC tournament. That's Des Moines Area Community College. You're going to see some other top-notch competition out there, as well as the Lincoln Land tournament into mid-October, and then it's Region 4 playoff time when we get into November, which, of course, we're going to check back with you hopefully by then. We'll be talking about a conference title and right on the doorstep to potentially a region championship. But certainly thank you for coming in, Coach, and talking Chiefs volleyball with you. And we are all out of time here on Sports Spotlight. On behalf of our crew, Jim Guerra, Chris Foster and AWOL, Mr. AWOL, Jamie Lara. I'm Steve Moga. We will see you next time. So long, everybody.